Boy, look at those pie cuts. Joe has really outdone himself. He's cutting the tip right now. Insert joke there. But look at those pie cuts. Man, Joe killed it. And we do have a plate coming from one of our subscribers, Russ. He hooked it up with a plate that's going to say Fab by Joe Young. So we'll show you guys that when it comes in. Should be here probably next week or the end of this week. I spoke with JPC today, and they told us that we need to shim the converter. So we're actually going to pull the trans back. We're going to shim the converter. That way it has the correct gap in between the converter and the flex plate. And they also told me, which I don't know how I feel about this, but they don't want us to switch out the drive shaft. So instead of getting the right flange on the drive shaft, they want us to switch out the companion flange that's actually on the differential. I'll get under here and show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is your companion flange. This one is slightly smaller than the end on the drive shaft. So they told me to get a 2015 manual companion flange, and that will work with the drive shaft we have. So we'll have to take that nut out that's in there and replace this. So I did order this one from Ford already. Hopefully it should be here next week, and then the drive shaft should bolt up. I did have to paste that on my own, which I don't know, it wasn't really my mess up, but it's $100 and I want to get the car running. So I'm not going to argue with them. I'm just going to get the right part, and hopefully that fixes our issue with the drive shaft. Alright guys, so I didn't film too much last night, but oh boy, here we go again. This is why you do not want to be a guinea pig. I'm telling you, it's not fun. It is not fun. You gotta figure out all this stuff on your own. Anyways, we actually got the transmission stabbed and got it all lined up. We figured out where we needed to shim the converter, spoke to JPC about the drive shaft and how we're gonna fix that. As I said, we're gonna get the companion flange, a new flange for the differential housing, and the drive shaft should mate up just fine. So I go to work on the torque converter bolts, and I'm like, oh, we gotta put the starter back in because there's like a little hole on the driver's side where you can reach in to get to the torque converter bolts in order to tighten them down. Well, in order to spin, jeez, this road's bumpy. In order to spin the flex plate, you bump the starter. So I was like, oh, I'll just throw the starter back in. So I go to put the starter in, and oh boy, realize the starter does not line up with this transmission. So there's a black metal plate. It's kind of like a, I don't know, call it like a dust cover or engine plate or something. It's, I forget the name of it, but it's in between the transmission and the engine. So there's a little hole for where the starter sits, and then usually that metal plate is drilled out where the holes are at for the starter. So only one of the holes lined up, and that was fine, and then I go to get the other one, and the metal plate is covering where that other hole is, which means I don't know exactly where the hole is, because what we'll have to do is actually take the transmission back down so we can see where the other hole is, mark the metal plate where that hole lines up, and then drill the metal plate so that the hole shows through. But the starter is not going to work because the starter, it's kind of hard to explain, but the starter is pretty much oriented one way, and that hole is probably further down, and it can't orientate the other way. It's just not, the 2018 starter is not meant for that transmission. At least we don't think. We're about to find out here in just a second. Luckily, Joe, being the good friend he is, he's taking his lunch break to meet me at his house, and I'm gonna go pick up a 2012 starter for the Mustang and see if that fits in there. And if that fits in there, we'll just throw that starter in, we'll drill the little hole through the metal plate and call it a day. Obviously it'd be nice if the 18 starter fit, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to. And here's the problem. I spoke to JPC this morning, and they told me that no one has ever called them with this issue. And they told me that a few people with 18s have actually bought Turbo 400s from them, and no one's said that these issues have come up. So I don't know if these people have not actually installed the Turbo 400s yet, or if they're just running into these issues and kind of solving them without asking JPC. So JPC had no idea about it, but yeah, pretty sure the starter's not going to work. So I'm going to pick up a 2012 starter from AutoZone, and we're going to bring that one over, see if that one lines up with the holes, and then we'll go from there. Don't be a guinea pig. It's not a good time. Shout out Joe for meeting me on his lunch break. I owe Joe lunch, probably. Starter acquired. Oh, things are looking up for tonight, guys. The 2012 starter did fit. So here's the difference is the 2012 starter is a 3-bolt hole, and the 18 starter is only a 2-bolt, and only one of the bolt holes actually lines up. So what we did was we slid the transmission back so that we could see where the holes were on the transmission for the starter, and sure enough, there's 3 holes, and it lines up perfectly with the previous starter. So the 18 starter, one doesn't line up with, it only lines up with one of the holes. There's 3 holes, so you know that you're supposed to use an older starter. And actually the holes we found out on the starter are threaded for the 18, which wouldn't work because for this Turbo 400, it's actually supposed to thread into the transmission. So yeah, you cannot use an 18 starter, people. If you guys want to know, you cannot use an 18 starter on a Turbo 400. So I'm not sure what JPC is going to do in the future, because I called them and they didn't know anything about it. So maybe one day they will change the kits. I don't know. They'll have to either do a different bell housing or explain to people that if you have an 18 and up Mustang, you're going to need a different starter, different drive shaft flange, and those are just things you got to work around. So we will see you guys back at Joe's tonight. Okay, so just so you guys understand, the plate I was talking about earlier is this plate right here. So anyways, on the other side of this is where the starter goes. We do have the Turbo 400 back in. Let me flip around so you guys can see. Talking to the YouTube.
Oh man, I want to talk to the YouTube.
No, you're out of control right now.
Where's the YouTube been all night?
I know, I've been messing up. So this plate, I had to drill this hole right here and this hole right here, but now the problem is the starter, you can see, is hitting the block right here. It's super thin right there. There's not enough clearance. So we're gonna try and grind some off of the starter. I said grind the block, but whatever.
Well, hey David, film yourself for what I'm about to tell you. David, in order to grind the block, you'd have to pull the transmission.
And we've done it 3 times already.
So, do you still want to grind the block? I mean, yeah, worst comes to worst, if you grind the starter and it doesn't fit, you could probably take 100, 200 thou off that block.
It'll make it
But
lighter.
you gotta pull the tranny and do it.
Why?
Because you can't get a grinder in there to take it all the way off.
Yeah. So that's what we're working with.
Where's our ice cream?
Brady is running late right now.
Safety glasses. Safety first.
How'd that work out for you?
No, last night I got a piece of titanium in my eye.
Which, I'm gonna need that piece back.
Yeah. Tonight I got stainless steel in my eye.
Dude, you got expensive eyes.
Yeah.
So what are you building, Joe?
I'm redoing my wastegates.
We had to
Joe
go,
got new wastegates.
you had to go bigger wastegates.
Bigger wastegates. Wasn't controlling boost good. So I gotta build new dump tubes. This is 2-inch pipe instead of the old stuff. I think it's 1 7/8. You'd say 1/8 of an inch, Joe. Why are you messing with it? Because 1/8 of an inch is actually 10% flow.
Dang.
So it matters.
It matters when you're going fast.
It matters, so I got to do bigger tubes to the wastegate.
Fun
So
times.
here I am. I cut my old ones out. It's prepped, so now I'm making the tube.
Fun times at Joe Young Fab.
Yeah, this has just been a blast. We're all having fun here. And there's our ice cream.
And there's the ice cream. Okay, guys. So, forgot to close out a couple of the videos I was going to do. I just decided to make it one big video. But this was a huge, well, still is a huge learning experience. And this is why I tell everyone you don't want to be the guinea pig on any car. It's not fun. It's easy if you buy a new car, you take it to a shop, and you're the guinea pig, and the shop figures everything out for you. You pick up the car when it's done, boom, you have yourself a running car. When it's you and a friend in a garage trying to figure it out, and you have no resources to go off of, it is not a good time. So, we have been trying to obviously get the Turbo 400 in the 2018 Mustang, and the difference is my car is a 10R80. It's not a manual car. What I figured out is that if it was a manual car, it would be essentially the same thing as doing a Turbo 400 in a 15 to 17. Because you got to remember, so 15 and up is the S550 generation. However, 15 to 17 is a Gen 2 Coyote with a 6R80 or an MT82, and then 18-19 is your Gen 3 Coyote with a 10R80, which is the 10-speed auto, and then an MT82 if you want a manual car. So if I had a manual 6-speed 2018 Mustang, it'd be very similar to swapping a Turbo 400 into a 15 to 17 Mustang because it's the same transmission. However, with the 10R80, it throws everything into a rumble. I don't know. It just messes everything up. So we've had to, pretty much, I ordered a Turbo 400 conversion kit from JPC Racing, which they do all the time. And they told me they've done a few for 18s, and I've asked them these questions and they've had no answers for me. So I'm not sure if they didn't realize my car was an auto. However, I did tell them that, but I don't know if they haven't, maybe they haven't done an auto car, but they haven't physically done an 18 Turbo 400 kit. They just told me they've sold some. So I don't really know of anyone that's actually done one. And I've tried to find someone that's done one, and I just can't find anyone doing. That's why I think I'm the first 10R80 to go Turbo 400. I'm sure there's some out there. It's just, you would think with how big social media is these days, you would be able to find them, and I just can't find these people. Just for some insight would be nice. However, I do think we are on maybe somewhat of the home stretch. I think we have kind of figured it out. So here's the difference. The 10R80 has a different starter. It has a 2-bolt starter, and that means the plate in between the transmission and the engine, the bell housing spacer plate, is made for that starter. So on the other previous Mustangs, on the manual Mustangs, they're a 3-bolt starter. So what I did is I went out and bought a 3-bolt starter, and then we just figured we could drill some holes into that bell housing spacer plate, and then the starter would just line up. That wasn't the case. We made the holes, we made the starter fit, however it still wouldn't sit flush because the starter was the wrong size for that plate. So now I have ordered a 2015 starter and a 2015 bell housing spacer plate. Those should come in hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday at the latest, and then we can test those and we'll know if that stuff's gonna actually work. The other issue I ran into was the drive shaft was the incorrect drive shaft flange on the backside. So what they had me do was buy a companion flange, which is the flange that comes off the diff, and we're gonna change that to an MT82 flange, and then that should allow that drive shaft that was for the S550 to actually fit. So those are the two issues we've ran into. However, they've been very big issues because we keep mounting the trans thinking it's ready, and then we have to keep pulling the trans back off. We've put the trans on and taken off a total of 4 times already, and it's gonna have to come off a 5th time when this new starter and spacer plate for the bell housing come in. So hopefully those come in sometime soon this week and we can get that started. I've got some other projects I need to get done on the Mustang anyways, so I'm kind of just knocking out small things here and there, but essentially the biggest thing we're waiting on now is those 2 parts. But it's been frustrating trying to figure that out, so I haven't really been up to date on the videos. I kind of just made it all into one. And hopefully on the next video or 2 of the Turbo 400 swap, you guys will see it running, because man, I want to drive this car so bad. I want to race it so bad. And now it's already, you know, middle of September. Like, the wheels are going to be here by the dang time we get the transmission going. So hopefully we'll get that figured out. I think we're on the right path now. We'll find out in a couple days. If that doesn't work, I have no idea. That transmission just won't work for this car if that doesn't work. So hopefully that works out. And as you guys saw, Misa is in town, so I am getting the Mustang wrapped. I just don't want to say the color yet. Everyone's put their guesses down below, and however, all of you are completely off. No one has even guessed the color. But I'm really excited to get the Mustang wrapped. I have this vision in my head, and I've had it for a while, on what I want the Mustang to look like. I've got a few other appearance mods coming, but I think when it's wrapped, it's got the wheels and these few other appearance mods I'm gonna do. I think the car's gonna look really good on the outside, but you guys will have to stay tuned to see. So make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can stay up to date on all my videos. Follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, Baby39. I will see you guys on the next one.